This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What Really Happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And welcome to our show today. It is Friday, February 26, 2021. Thank goodness it's Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday. Thank goodness it's Friday. We have a lot to talk about today, and we're going to get right into it. Mike is in our control room, twiddling the dials and keeping us out of trouble. And as usual, we're going to do news until we run out of news. Then we're going to open up the phone lines for your comments, questions, observations, and opinions. Here in Indiana, the professional weather guessers were saying we were going to have scattered clouds today. So, of course, we're under a rain right now, and they just declared a flood watch. So I keep thinking I should have been a meteorologist, because it's the only job where you can be that wrong that much of the time and still get your paycheck. Okay, so getting on into the political news, despite the little bit of bickering that went back and forth between Trump and Mitch McConnell has now said that he absolutely would back Donald Trump in the 2024 presidential race if he was the nominee of the Republican Party. I seriously don't think that's going to happen. I think Trump is going to form a third party, and he's going to draw a lot of people from the existing Republican Party and even from the Democrats to that new party, because I think we're pretty much sick of the two traditional parties. They're past their sell-by dates. And right now, we've been reporting on how Dominion is suing all kinds of people. The most recent case is Mike Lindell, the CEO of MyPillow.com. It really is a case of trying to scare people into silence and execute lawfare to bankrupt them with legal fees. But analysts are saying that the defamation lawsuits coming from Dominion really are not going to stand up in court. Dominion is nominally a private company, but it will need to prove the usual elements of a defamation suit. They're going to have to prove that Lindell and the rest made false statements about Dominion knowingly. And Dominion must also show that it somehow suffered damages. With all these states buying new machines, I don't think they're going to reach that one. And this is very difficult to do in American courts. This is especially true for government officials and public figures of any kind. In those cases, a plaintiff must also prove the defamation was committed with malicious intent and recklessness. This presents a very high legal standard to meet. And the defense in a defamation case is to prove that the statements you made were based on fact. And that means the court will be obligated to look at the evidence that there was fraud in last November's election. Lindell's going to be allowed to present his case. And that will start getting this evidence in front of a judge, which has not happened yet. And that's something to keep in mind. All these lawsuits were simply thrown out. You don't have standing. It's moot. It's this. It's that. Even up to the United States Supreme Court, they're dodging this. And that's why I call the Supreme Court justices see no evil, hear no evil, and speak no evil. But this Dominion lawsuit may open the door where some of this evidence is actually going to be presented in a court of law. Right now, Twitter has started blocking links to the Conservative Political Action Committee website, CPAC. And the organization's 2021 gathering gets underway in Orlando, Florida, with former President Donald Trump scheduled as the headline speaker. But Twitter users attempting to access CPAC's website are basically being warned the link may be unsafe. It includes violent or misleading content that could lead to real-world harm. I mean, they're not even trying to hide the political bias in their censorship. Apparently over at Blacklisted News, they have been put on a Twitter timeout. And basically saying, you know, their account is limited and they may be permanently banned. So it's really out there here. Meanwhile, Google has demonetized information liberation for sharing a video of the Capitol Police shooting Ashley Babbitt. And, you know, they have been with Google AdSense for some 15 years. And they showed this one video of the Capitol Police shooting Air Force veteran Ashley Babbitt in an article without any Google ads. Video which CNN and NBC paid $35,000 each to air on live TV, and tons of other corporate media sites have fully monetized with Google's approval. But information liberation, they got shut down. We talked the other day about how Facebook's artificially intelligent algorithm blocked the channel for a well-known chess master because he was talking about black attacks and white has to evade, you know, in describing chess games, because chess sets are traditionally black and white pieces. The algorithm has struck again, flagging an 81-year-old grandmother who had a channel about knitting little toy pigs. And yeah, they really did that. And she knits these things and she raises money for the Smith Family Charity to help disadvantaged children. And she posted a picture of her own knitted pigs and referred to them as white pigs and high-vis pigs. And Facebook flagged it as hate speech. So it's really out of control. Interesting little story, ignored by the media and the FBI. Antifa and Black Lives Matter activists are openly posting photos and bragging online about how they stormed the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. And of course, the official story is it was all Trump supporters and they behaved like brigands and pirates. And you know, for all the banning of 81-year-old grandmothers and chess masters, social media seems perfectly okay, allowing Antifa and Black Lives Matter to brag about how they wrecked the Capitol building. Interesting little take on the subject. This is in Russia Today, talking about the racial strife in the U.S. and saying it is not a grassroots phenomenon. It is a manufactured crisis being foisted on the public at a time when populist ideas are in the air. And their take is that corporate America is trying to fuel a race war to deflect attention from the massive wealth inequality that is taking place currently in the nation. That is certainly true enough. Little interesting statistical fact here. For 100 years, the average age for senators and representatives remained fairly stable. But over the last 40 years, the average age has skyrocketed. Somehow these old fossils are staying in office year after year, no matter how terrible a job they're doing at home, Nancy Pelosi being just one example there. So meanwhile, down in Arizona, as you're already aware, there was supposed to be an audit and the Maricopa County election officials have been dragging their heels and basically saying, no, we don't want to do that. You don't need to audit it. Trust us. Everything was fine. Well, finally, earlier today, a judge ruled Maricopa County must provide 2.1 million ballots from the November 3rd election to the Arizona State Senate and allow full access to its election equipment to conduct the audit. And Maricopa County Superior Court Judge Timothy Thomason ruled subpoenas issued by the state Senate are valid and can be enforced. And he disputed arguments from Maricopa County officials saying the subpoenas were unlawful. So that is now moving forward. And, oh my goodness, it was a horrible fire. The whole warehouse burned down. That's going to be the next step. Speaking of burning things down here, 25 years ago, there was a horrible tragedy involving a Boeing 747 flying from New York to Paris. This was TWA Flight 800, and it exploded over the Atlantic just south of Long Island, where hundreds of witnesses insisted they saw a missile rise up from an ongoing naval exercise and destroy the passenger jet. Well, the wreckage, the reconstructed wreckage of TWA Flight 800 is going to be destroyed now. And the NTSB is saying they're going to decommission and destroy the reconstructed Boeing 747 aircraft and basically bury it, who knows, in an unknown location. I don't know what they're going to do with it. But that will be the last of the physical evidence remaining of this terrible, terrible accident involving a military missile. Talking about COVID-19, there's a lot of stuff out there. The British government has a vaccine safety review, and they have revealed that 244 people, including 8 unborn babies, have died in Britain shortly after receiving one of 2 coronavirus vaccines. So the vaccine was triggering these miscarriages, over 100,000 side effects. And so the numbers are starting to pile up. We are getting into the same territory we were in 1976, where the vaccine was killing more people than the flu was. Over in Switzerland, they are rejecting the AstraZeneca coronavirus vaccine, citing a lack of sufficient data to prove that it is effective. And they're saying there's a lack of available trial data. Well, they're conducting the trials now on the general population. So Switzerland is saying, no, thank you. We'll find something else. This one really scares the heck out of me. As you're probably already aware, the rollout of the vaccines has been much slower than expected. And today, the FDA, actually yesterday, the FDA revised storage requirements of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. Now, you probably remember it was supposed to be kept at minus 76 Fahrenheit, and now the FDA is saying it's okay to just use a regular freezer. Just keep it below freezing, and all will be well. I would presume that there was a very, very good reason to keep it at minus 76 degrees, given that RNA is a very unstable molecule. And now they're going to say, well, you don't need the super cold freezers, just a regular old freezer, that you'd put your popsicles in. That will be sufficient. That one really, really worries me. Over in Israel and Iceland, a team of scientists have published a new report showing that an extraction of spirulina alga has the potential to reduce the severity of COVID-19 in advanced cases. This is an all-natural treatment that can prevent the cytokine storm in severe patients. And this is coming out of the Jerusalem Post. The research was conducted in a Mygal laboratory in northern Israel with algae grown and cultivated in Iceland by the Israeli company Vaxa. Vaxa received funding from the European Union to explore and develop natural treatments for coronavirus, and it looks like they hit one. So good for them. Over in Germany, Angela Merkel is begging Germans to take the vaccine, but she is still refusing to take it herself. What does she know that we don't know? All right, a story coming on out of Zero Hedge. How does all of this end? And it starts out saying that there is a sense that the pandemic is winding down and the toxic culture of division, fear, and hatred with it. Cases are down dramatically. Deaths are down. Hospitalizations are no longer irregular. Restrictions are being repealed. And it does look like it's finally coming to an end, except, of course, on the other side, they've got COVID version 2.0, COVID version 2.5, the golden cut, and all these other things to booga you into buying more face masks and more vaccines. And they're not getting anywhere near me with that needle. Turning to the international news, Joe Biden, what's he been in office just about a month, and he's already got the wars cranking up. Biden bombed the Syrian border crossing between Syria and Iraq and killed 22 people that were accused, without any proof apparently, of being Iran-backed militia fighters. This was done in retaliation for rocket attacks that injured American troops and killed a contractor in Iraq. Now, Caitlin Johnson is out there saying that the U.S. is bombing Syria and trying to claim it's self-defense. And of course, the corporate media is just going along with all of this. They might as well just be, Xeroxing off the Pentagon press releases and posting that as the news. Okay, article coming out of Russia today pointing out that, Biden is being, blasted for picking a fight in Syria, while at the same time letting the minimum wage issue slide at home. So he's out there spending money like crazy to bomb people. And here in America, the workers are still struggling and suffering. According to Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, Russia has information that the United States plans to stay in Syria forever and basically wreck the country the way they did to, for example, Egypt. And they're going to keep on the airstrikes going. And we've been hearing the phrase forever wars for a very, very long time. That was coming out even back in the 1990s from the Project for the New American Century, that we were heading to a state of permanent ongoing war against the rest of the world. All righty. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said Israel will do everything to prevent Tehran from acquiring nuclear weapons. And right now, Israel is in talks with Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, and the United Arab Emirates to establish a four-nation military alliance. Now, although Israel does not have official diplomatic relations with Saudi Arabia, it has had ties with Bahrain and the UAE since they signed the Abraham Accords normalization deal. So they're all getting ready to gang up on Iran. In our House of Congress, Republican Senator Tom Cotton and 40 other lawmakers have introduced bicameral legislation that opposes the lifting of any sanctions on Iran, highlighting partisan disapproval of President Joe Biden's calls to return to the 2015 nuclear deal. They don't want that to happen. They want their little war any way they can get it. Now, a couple of little items. These are head scratchers. We don't have the details. We don't know what's going on. But yesterday, the United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations said that a British ship was hit by an explosion in the Gulf of Oman. And they're saying investigations are ongoing. Vessel and crew are safe. Vessels are transiting the area are advised to exercise caution. Interestingly enough, a different article, this one in the Express, describes the ship as Israeli-owned. Oh, case of fluttering flags there. But the fact they're being very, very quiet about the cause of the explosion, I think, is interesting. Maybe somebody made a mistake. Over in Yemen, tens of thousands of people are staging rallies across Yemen in protest at the all-out Saudi blockade and closure of Sana'a International Airport, which have made it impossible for food and medical supplies to reach the people in the war-torn country. Protesters took to the street in the Damt district of the southern Yemeni province of Dal earlier today in a rally entitled "The Siege of the Coalition of Aggression is Killing Yemeni People." And they chanted slogans against the United States and the Israeli regime for supporting the Saudi blockade of war-devastated Yemen. Over in Myanmar, riot police are firing at the crowd with apparently stun grenades to disperse the protesters, and they're trying to basically calm things down in that country, while the neighboring countries are engaged in diplomatic efforts to try and quiet things down before the tensions spill over the borders. We have to take a break for some commercial messages here, and we will be right back.
Is your property a financial burden and causing you grief? Have you tried to sell but can't find buyers? Or are you just too busy to sell your property? Don't worry, we have the right solution for you. We buy properties as is, with cash, close in 30 days, and pay all closing costs. Our service is ideal for property owners who are in pre-foreclosure, have high-end repair costs, experiencing financial hardship, going through costly divorces, are relocating, need cash for retirement, suffering family loss, or have tax liens. Whatever your situation may be, we can help you sell your property and get the money you need. If you own a single-family home or multiple family units, call us for a free consultation at 888-910-1037. That's 888-910-1037. Or visit our website at cashingproperty.com. That's cashingproperty.com. Sell your property fast and leave all your worries behind.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Forced to carry his own cross while we drive nails in his coffin. You might say it is routine. It happens far too often. A decorated soldier, veteran of the war. Who would have thought that he would be among the sick and poor? The preacher man wags his head.
Welcome back to our show here. And again, a reminder that Republic Broadcasting Network does need your help to continue doing what we're doing. I still have not heard what kind of an electric bill RBN received following this storm and power grid problems, but it's probably going to be very, very high. And so more than any other time, it is important that you help RBN keep doing what they're doing. So once again, the postal address where you can send a check, money order, or if you prefer anonymity cash, is Republic Broadcasting Network, 2251 Double Creek Drive, number 302, Round Rock, Texas, 78664. The phone number where you can make a credit or debit card donation is 800-724-2719, extension 3. If you mail in a donation for $100 or more, please include your t-shirt size and a return address, and you will receive one of these official spiffy RBN t-shirts and the associated bragging rights. And don't forget, the Frontside Firearms deal is back on again, and that one is definitely a good one. All right, we're going to go back to the international news now. Interesting little story here. President Biden, spoke with Saudi Arabia's King Salman and supposedly talked about human rights, but really didn't mention anything about Khashoggi's murder. And it was a nice little talk between these two doddering old people. But despite that, we've got this article coming out of Global Research saying that tensions between the United States and Saudi Arabia are on the rise. And apparently part of the problem is Biden's ideological commitment to Western liberal values. And, Saudi Arabia is a historical representative of Western interest in the Middle East, remains uncertain about the future of its relations with the U.S. following the rise of Biden. So we'll see what's going to happen there. There's a lot of stuff going on in this country that is probably making other countries very uncomfortable, like transgender surgery on children. I think that's probably got a lot of people scratching their heads and wondering what the heck went wrong with the United States of America. Meanwhile, the United States has brought Israel into CENTCOM, which is the U.S. military's command in the Middle East. And it's going to take a little while to go into full effect, but the Pentagon's recent decision to relocate Israel to the area of responsibility of CENTCOM is a direct operational reflection of the Abraham Accords. Okay. And, once again, sticking a finger rather in the eye of the dragon, a U.S. warship sailed through the sensitive Taiwan Strait Wednesday. This is the second time this has been done underneath the Biden administration, according to the U.S. Navy's 7th Fleet. The ship was a guided missile destroyer, the USS Curtis Wilbur, that made the provocative maneuver. Beijing, of course, denounced the provocation. The move artificially creates risk factors in the Taiwan Strait, deliberately undermines regional peace and stability, and Beijing is firmly opposed to that. Now, earlier this month, the USS John McCain, another guided missile destroyer, steamed through the Taiwan Strait. And after sailing through the strait, the McCain conducted what the U.S. calls a freedom of navigation operation near the Chinese-claimed Paracel Islands in the South China Sea. I wonder why they still refer to it as steaming, because these guided missile destroyers don't have steam engines. They have gas turbines. A little nitpicky point on my part here. A little bit of good news, a little bit of calming down somewhere. The militaries of India and Pakistan issued a rare joint statement yesterday that they have agreed to observe a ceasefire along the border in Kashmir. Having exchanged fire hundreds of times in recent months, they've just decided they've really had enough of that. So they signed a ceasefire agreement along the line of control in the Kashmir region. They signed it back in 2003, but the truce has been kind of fraying in recent years, and now they're trying to sort of rebolster it and say, look, this is really, what's in effect, so let's stop shooting at each other, and I think that's a really, really good thing. All right, we've got some economic news here. And the Texas energy crisis has gone from a power grid failure to a humanitarian emergency to a credit crisis as billions of dollars in power bills come due. According to the Financial Times, electricity retailers, municipal utilities, and power generation companies were purchasing wholesale energy during the crisis when rates surged to a cap of $9,000 a megawatt hour last week. And the total money owed is a whopping $50 billion. Now, ERCOT, the state's grid operator, warns that some market participants have yet to post collateral to cover some of the bills as the defaults begin. All right, we're going to take another break for commercials, and we'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
It's happening, ladies and gentlemen. We here at RBN are working with Front Sight Firearms Training Institute to bring our audience the best in combat, tactical, and defensive firearms training. Whether you're a private citizen who is new to firearms or you have a concealed weapon permit and want a level of training that surpasses what you've received from your local gun range, Front Sight provides priceless education and skills taught by seasoned law enforcement, military, and private citizen instructors to levels that far exceed law enforcement and military standard. With nearly 1 million responsible citizens trained from every town, city, and state from across the United States, Front Sight has bolstered the Patriot movement to a whole new level. Contact Dan Sutterfield by phone at 573-762-2356 or 573-465-2356, or shoot him an email at domedan, DOMEDAN, at hotmail.com. This is a limited time opportunity. Don't miss it.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Please view, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Stop terrorism. Please contact us if you or anyone you know who wants to be on our show at thetruepharmacy@gmail.com. Keep it real. Take the red pill.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight. Women.
Welcome back to our show here. We're talking about the economic news. And down in Texas, a woman has filed a $1 billion with a B dollar lawsuit against electricity retailer Griddy Energy after she was hit with a $9,000 electricity bill during last week's devastating storm that left so many people without power. And the woman is named Lisa Corey. She's from Mount Bellevue, and she claimed her electricity bill soared from around $200 a month to $9,340 during the storm. According to she started a class action lawsuit, and I'm sure she's going to have a lot of people signing on to that one. And yeah, so there. This just now came in. A federal judge has struck down the eviction moratorium, saying that interference with private property rights is unconstitutional. This is going to be a major, major problem because of all of the people in America who are behind on their rent, behind on their mortgages, because of the declining economy, not to mention all the jobs that were lost during the pandemic. And I hope it's not going to be left at that, because if they just let this stand, we're going to have a lot more homeless people in the streets of America. Okay. All righty. Boy, this is not a good time for Boeing, but only if you look at the name in the media, and I'm going to clarify that in a little bit. We had the Boeing 77 that had an engine explode over Denver. And then another Boeing 77, had an engine fire explosion over the Netherlands. And now we've had yet another Boeing 777 had to make an emergency landing at Russia's Sheremetyevo airport outside of Moscow. In this case, they're saying what happened was that there was an indicator that the engine, the control circuits had failed. So once again, it's the engines, and I'm trying to find confirmation whether the 777 that had to land in Moscow was flying that same Pratt & Whitney engine. Now, it's come on out that Boeing had been trying to strengthen the 777 engine covers for 2 years before the United Airlines flight had that rotor burst over Denver. And supposedly the engine nacelles are intended and designed to contain damage from a rotor burst, but clearly that did not happen. There's a big Kevlar blanket around the inside of the nacelle. But Boeing had been working to strengthen the engine covers for 2 years, and they're working with the FAA to basically deal with this because apparently there were similar problems on earlier flights that needed to be looked at. Okay. Rise in short-term Treasury rates may come in direct conflict with easy Fed policy. This is from Investment Watch blog, and we're starting to see all these different indicators sort of carom around the place. So there's a lot of chaos out there. And there's another article over here in Zero Hedge saying that the Great Reset is here. And it starts with the Bretton Woods Conference of 1944 set the global financial system that still prevails today. That's the one that made the dollar the international reserve currency. From 1969 to 71 was the first reset, which involved the creation of special drawing rights, the devaluation of the dollar, and the end of the gold standard, which was called Nixon's shock. When he realized that there were more Federal Reserve notes out there than could be covered, could be covered by the gold that was available. So now it looks like the long-expected Great Reset is finally here. The details vary depending upon who you're talking to, but the basic idea is that the current global monetary system centered around the dollar is inherently unstable and needs to be reformed. Now, the dollar has its problems, but the key source of instability is that private central bank model where they are allowed to literally create money out of thin air and then loan it out at interest. And the instant that first pretty printed piece of paper goes into circulation, more money is owed to that bank than is actually in existence. And from that time on, the debt can only grow, it can never be repaid. And that's why the system is, in fact, unstable. And it does need to be changed. Yesterday, we reported on how GameStop stock unexpectedly jumped upward, and short sellers apparently lost another $2 billion as the independent traders take on the Wall Street hedge funds yet again. So that battle is still going on out there. Story coming out of Blabber Buzz asking why these stimulus checks will be small, even though the bill, meaning the COVID bill, is expensive. And we talked a little bit about this yesterday, about all the liberal pork barrel projects that are in there and how little of the $1.9 trillion relief bill actually goes to COVID and to economic relief for the American people. and basically Senator John Kennedy was on America's Newsroom Thursday and was talking about how the bill includes $270 million for arts and humanities endowments, $200 million for museums and libraries, and $100 million for an electric train in Silicon Valley. So it really is a huge pork barrel, and the Republicans are right to try and oppose it and say, let's focus on the COVID relief. But of course, the Democrats are saying, oh, you're being heartless. You're keeping food from the mouths of the American people. And it just goes on and on and on. Over at Bank of America, they have begun their first round of layoffs since the pandemic-inspired freeze. So after they canceled it last year, the annual culling of the underperformers is underway once again at Bank of America, following a slowdown in layoffs during the pandemic, during which a lot of banks, including B of A and Deutsche Bank, announced plans to suspend the layoffs. Wall Street's talent churning machine is cranking back on up. And a lot of very spectacular careers and spectacularly short ones there on Wall Street. Story coming out of Investment Watch blog again, the money supply increased by 71% in 1 year. And the Federal Reserve is out there saying they're going to increase the money supply even more because the asset prices are now considered out of control. We have been talking about the shortage of rare earth minerals, which are used in solar panels, wind turbines, batteries, motors, cell phones, laptops, tablets. And these rare earths are found primarily in China. And so Europe, like the United States, is dependent on China for these rare earths. But they've got deposits around the world. It's just the unit cost of extraction is a little bit higher when you get outside China. But Europe is now making plans to try and produce domestically rare earths at an economic manner, so that the uniform cost of extraction goes down. Getting into the woke news, if you will, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is bankrolling an activist educational group that believes math is racist and that arriving at an objective answer is an example of white supremacy. They're saying that minorities are getting wrong answers because of white supremacy. They are really seeing that. Remember 1984, 2 + 2 = 5? That's where we are right now. So this group is called A Pathway to Equitable Math Instruction, and it says that asking students to find the correct answer to a math problem is an inherently racist practice. And the organization's website lists the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation as its sole donor. I mean, this is insane. It's just utterly insane. Math is the language of science and engineering. And if you're not getting the right answer, then buildings will fall over, bridges will collapse, aircraft will fall out of the air, spacecraft will fall out of orbit. Getting the right answer is essential to the process. And now we're being told that getting the right answer to a math problem is racist. That is one of the most absurd things I've ever heard. Over in Washington State, the University of Washington's Black Student Union has gathered almost 8,000 signatures on a petition that demands the school remove a statue of George Washington, the school and the state's namesake. And the petition claims the statue perpetuates white supremacy and preserves its historical imposition because George Washington owned slaves. We have really become a very arrogant society, saying that how we are living right now is the scale by which we judge everybody else in history. And looking at our current society with its transgenderism for children and all of its other social ills. I don't think we should be the benchmark for pretty much anything at this point. But that's what's going on. They're looking at our current society, and anybody who doesn't conform with it throughout history is demonized. Back when George Washington owned slaves, it was perfectly legal and normal to do. Same thing with Thomas Jefferson. We cannot judge history's figures by our standards today. We have to judge them by the standards of the times they lived in. And again, they're erasing our history. And history is what tells you what you could possibly be in the future. Getting on over to this transgender situation, Biden, of course, has withdrawn the government from a lawsuit to stop transgender athletes competing in women's high school sports. The female athletes are just furious, because biological males are taking all the medals, by competing in girls' sports. Now, interestingly enough, story over in Zero Hedge, there is a new bill that was introduced today by Representative Mary Miller of Illinois that would prevent transgender individuals from using opposite-sex bathrooms, locker rooms, and sports teams. And this bill is intended to protect women and girls from both predators and unfair competition. The bill would also clarify the word sex in Title IX as sex determined solely by a person's reproductive biology and genetics at birth, which to me, that's a really, really good definition of your gender. Okay. Now, 3 Republicans crossed the aisle to help pass the Democrats' LGBTQ Equality Act. Critics are saying it's an attack on religious freedom and will also allow men to compete in women's athletics. And I don't really know what the agenda is behind all this transgenderism, but it doesn't look like it's something intended to help build a stable, healthy society. And even toy giant Hasbro has given up on this. The famous toy Mr. Potato Head, which I had one when I was a kid, is now going to become the gender-neutral Potato Head in order to encourage kids to create same-sex families. And the company is dropping Mr. from the name in a move designed to break away from traditional gender norms, particularly when it comes to creating potato head families. We'll see. I don't think it's going to be a big seller. I really, really don't think that. And by the way, there is a Mrs. Potato Head out there as well. My favorite one is the Darth Tater toy, which makes a potato look like Darth Vader. It's got the helmet and everything. I think that's really cool. Out in California, there is a proposed bill that would fine retailers $1,000 who don't create a single-sex gender-neutral space in its toys and apparel sections. So if your store segregates toys into a boys' toys and girls' toy sections, and if the clothing is into boys' and girls' departments, they will get fined. I mean, if nothing else, it's going to make the finding of an appropriate clothing or appropriate toy that much more difficult for the consumer. It's a tremendous inconvenience. Rand Paul is out there taking a stand regarding gender change surgery for underage children. He compares it to genital mutilation. I agree. And he got into a bit of a word fight with Biden's transgender pick for Assistant Health and Human Services Secretary. And of course, Democrats have now piled on to Rand Paul for defending children from the transgender knife. And I'm in agreement. It is, by definition, it's genital mutilation. And if somebody's an adult and they have got it into their head that they're actually a German Shepherd trapped in a man's body, then they go out and do whatever you want to do. But we're seeing this idea of transgenderism being sold to children, being propagandized to them. It's even in the school system. And not surprisingly, we're seeing more and more young people identify as being LGBTQ. And in many cases, we're talking about children who are not really old enough to understand their own sexuality yet. It's a fashion statement is what it's been turned into. Over in Germany, well, we got to take a break for commercials, and we will be right back.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we have been building our online store. Well, we have been focusing on bringing you the best talk show host in the country. Here at Republic Broadcasting Network, we also want our listeners to have products they can use every day and in times of emergency. We have added new products each week to our store. Your support of this network, plus products at the best prices, is a win-win situation. Check out our new store. Go to our website, republicbroadcasting.org, and click on the online store located at the top of our website. Together, we can continue to grow RBN and help our listeners prepare for the future. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and click on our online store or call us.
800-724-2719 extension 3. 800-724-2719 extension 3.
Have you been looking for a trusted long-term storable food company? We have a solution for you. Simply Clean Foods is dedicated to providing the best quality food you can buy next to fresh from a farmer's market. Our line of resealable fruits, vegetables, and meats are suitable for everyday use, and you won't have to worry about throwing away valuable groceries ever again. Our food is completely GMO-free, and our stringent quality controls, plus testing for heavy metals, makes us unique in the storable foods market. Simply Clean Foods' primary focus is to bring clean food to people all around the world and change the way we look at freeze-dried food in our daily cooking. When you purchase from simplycleanfoods.net, not only will you be receiving high-quality food, but you will also be supporting veterans in need across the country and those who are affected by natural disasters. Right now, Amazon Prime members will receive fast 2-day shipping. Go to simplycleanfoods.net. That's simplycleanfoods.net. But do it today.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, I mean the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay.
Welcome back to our show here over in Germany. Because of the pandemic and because of concerns over chemicals being added to meat and especially the problem with potential GMO livestock. It has sparked a new hunting tradition. And there's a new German generation of hunting enthusiasts. They're very concerned about where they get their meat. And so they're basically going on out and they're hunting down wild game that they prepare themselves and eat because they know it's, it's not messed up with a bunch of chemicals and genetic engineering. And yeah, well, there's a lot of hunting around here in Indiana as well. Okay, from Technocracy News, there's an interesting little story about how the Earth is cooling, but the radical Greens are still out there trying to fight human-caused global warming. And it talks about these winter storms that wreaked havoc in central and the southern states. This was certainly a much harsher winter this year than last year here in Santa Claus. And, it's almost like the climate news is turning catastrophic. And people are very angry that the federal government is too busy with its delusional psychosis over global warming to really pay attention to what's actually going on out there. And they're absolutely right. I mean, the global warming was never about the science. It was about money and control and politics. And Mother Nature just went the other way. And now we're even hearing that we could get, some more snow next week here, which was unexpected. The weather guessers appear to have missed that one as well. Down in Mexico, little bit of good news. Mexico is going to ban glyphosate and genetically modified corn. This is a decree from the president, and he withstood intense pressure from industry and U.S. authorities. But he basically went ahead and did this out of concern over the diseases associated with the GM corn and the glyphosate. And wants to go back to the natural varieties. So good for him. Absolutely. Okay, let's see. Weird effect on the, oh yeah. Hang on. Oh, there we are. All right. We're having some weirdness with YouTube. Boston Dynamics is a little bit upset because there is this website. It's called Spots Rampage. It's a creation of the MSCHF Product Studio, which is the same outfit that recreated episodes of The Office entirely in Slack, and even sells a cap for your Alexa device that jams the microphone. So, all right, we're going to take a break for station identification. I'll finish the story after we come back.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And welcome back to our show, hour number 2. And we're talking about this MSCHF product studio. And if you download the MSCHF app and visit the Spots Rampage website, you get to remotely control a Boston Dynamics dog robot that has a paintball gun attached to the top of it. And there's a wall in front with outlines that you can shoot at. Of course, control of Spot is passed to various users on a random basis, and Boston Dynamics is definitely not happy about that. They'd prefer that you think of their robots as, dancing and all the other cool things that they were done there. Let's see. Speaking of the robot dog, the New York Police Department has deployed a Boston Dynamics robot dog in the Bronx. Fully equipped with cameras, real-time feedback for the police to use. All right, we're going to go ahead and open up the phone lines. Area code 512-248-8252. And we're going to start with Joe in California. Hello, Joe. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hello, Mike. Always a good day when I'm the first caller.
Yes.
I beat you, Al, from Canada. Not today, my friend. Not today. Mike, by the way, you mentioned Technocracy News and Trends. It would be great if you could get Patrick Wood on the show for an interview.
Okay.
He's behind that site. So, but Mike, I thank you for that announcement you made yesterday about putting an end to this the conflicts between the callers. I mean, the show had switched on to As the World Turns. Instead of what really happened.
It had, and we got a lot of complaints. And actually on Monday, we're going to have a change of format where we're going to do a half hour of news, then a half hour of phone calls to talk about the news, then another half hour of news, and a final half hour of phone calls to talk about the news, to try and keep people on topic and not just let them, run off into the great unknown.
That's a good idea. Also, if we could do a half hour of Tom from Florida singing, because he was outstanding. He did that little bit of Maria from West Side Story. Yes. I was mistaken. I thought landscaping was his profession, but I think, Tom, you got an acting and singing career. So good luck. And I think we may have lost Marco from Alabama. So Marco, please, give us a shout out, because I'm thinking maybe you're in Guantanamo. Maybe the communist government that we have now shipped you to Guantanamo. So please, Marco, give us a shout out.
Okay.
And then lastly, before I get to my main point, I think Paul from New Jersey, the guy is brilliant. I love his calls. He's been, especially lately, he's been making some great calls. So I think Paul deserves a gift. I think we should all pitch in and get him a BLM hoodie, the Al Sharpton edition. So Paul, look out for that.
Okay.
And then let me just get this straight, Mike. This is my main point. We're told incessantly that to follow the science.
Yes.
And now the two people who are most adamant about the primacy of science are telling us that math is racist.
Yes.
I'm going crazy, Mike. I mean, what's happening to this world?
It's utterly insane.
Are we now? Are people just gonna make it up as they go along? I mean, I guess
apparently
that would be appropriate, because that's what Fauci and his merry band of fools have been doing since last year.
Well, you're absolutely right about that. And again, I can't think of anything that is more destructive for our future position in the world as a technocratic society than, you know, telling people that accuracy in math is racist and to be avoided. And I don't know what they think is going to happen. I think this is a classic case of ideology just overwhelming common sense.
So that D that I got in senior year in Algebra 2, that was racist.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So, no, but
back
in
and
all seriousness now, to be serious, can you imagine this happening in Russia and China?
No, I can't. I absolutely can't.
No.
Or Germany.
Me either.
Yeah.
Or Germany. Yeah, me either. So, Paul, look out for that BLM hoodie. It's on the way. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks for the call. We're going to switch over to Kelly in Austin. Hello, Kelly. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, just a few things. When I recalled you last week or so about rare earths in the United States, we have a huge rare earth deposit in Smith County, Texas. And if the country decides to take advantage of that, we have everything we need to offset China's influence in rare earths. So I really suggest you look at that. Secondly, the more I look at Mexico's president, the more I like that man.
Yeah, I mean this this ban on GMO and you know, the glyphosate. I mean, he's going to keep his people healthy.
Now he takes care of his people. He really does.
Yes.
And I think that he's really keyed in with the welfare of his people. Mexico doesn't have all the social welfare structure that we have in the United States, but I think he's a good man, and long term, I think he'll be very good for the Mexican people. Lastly, I want to talk about energy prices in Texas. You know, the people in Texas are going to be hit by electric prices or charges for electricity. They're thousands of dollars above what they ordinarily pay. Let me explain what the hell is behind this. I think Texas has its own grid. I mean, there are 3 grids in the United States: the East, West, and then there's a Texas grid. And the assumption here is that Texas doesn't really get anything from outside. Well, Texas can get electricity from other grids, you know, at a price. And what happened here was that ERCOT, which is a corrupt organization, and these energy producers in Texas did not plan. They didn't think about anything. They did nothing to plan for anything like this.
No, they believed Al Gore when Al Gore said the world is warming. You know, snowfalls will be a thing of the past, and you know, all that other nonsense.
Yeah. So what happened now was when they got caught with their pants down, they had to go outside the grid to find energy to keep things up, to keep the whole system from collapsing. And that wasn't necessary, by the way. And so what happened now was that they had to. These are spot prices. You know what a spot price is?
Yes.
Okay. These were all spot prices. So they they accepted the prices for the wheeling of electricity into the Texas grid from other grids, so that they could keep things running. But there was no conversation with anybody any consumer here in Texas about this, and so the consumers were just told, take it or leave it. And what's
it's
happened
very
now
reminiscent
is
of what
people
Enron did to California.
Yeah, and so people are going to be looking at their bills now, and they're going to be shocked. Now, I think we're okay here in Austin because I'm reasonably sure that we're not tied in with one of these with a system that relied upon the input of electricity elsewhere. You know, what happens now is say you wheel electricity from one place to the next over a long distance.
Yes.
What you generate in one area is not the same amount of energy, the megawatts you get in the other. So there's a lot of line loss.
Yes, there is.
What you get charged on one end is what you pay on one end is what you get charged on the end where they generate that.
Yes.
And so the people on the receiving end are just being screwed. And especially in cases like this, because you have very cold temperatures, you have excessive line loss,
yes.
you have lines that are not maintained well, and as a result of that, you know, you're not getting on the receiving end what you really need, but on the transmission end, the transmission costs are excessive.
Yes.
And if that's not a cost, if that's not a basis for telling the state government of Texas and this corrupt Republican governor here, I mean, at least he's not a Democrat, but this corrupt governor in Texas and the people who run the Public Utilities Commission in this state and the people who run the utilities in the state to go screw themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the hell is. I mean, what's happened here is that this is the rape of Texas. This is the rape of Texans who are caught in a situation that they had no control over.
Yes.
And this, it's absolutely, it's unforgivable. Greg Abbott is a piece of crap. And the people who run the damn utility systems in this country, in this state, are full of crap. And the people who run ERCOT in this state ought to be hanged. They screwed this state royally from one end to the other during this goddamn, disaster. I'm sorry, Mike. I know I went too far, but I think I'm speaking in mild terms about how many Texans feel about what the hell happened here in this state.
I've gotten a lot of emails from people who are very, very angry. Listen, Kelly, when you finally do get your electric bill for this last month, I think our listeners would be interested in finding out how much it's for. If, as you say,
I'll be glad to let you know.
Yeah. Okay.
My wife and I, we manage our house very, very frugally, and our average bill is probably about $220 a month. But we don't crank it up during the summer or during the winter. We're very good. In fact, the city of Austin sent people out here to talk to us about getting onto their solar energy program, and they looked at our bills and they said, "Well, we can't do anything for you. You people are too efficient." Okay, all right.
Okay, yeah.
But now I'm curious to see what the heck's going to happen here. When we get our next bill. Again, I expect that it won't be that high because of where we are in Texas. But there are other places in Texas where people lost energy, lost their electricity, and then had to crank it up when they finally got it. And I expect that they're going to see exceedingly high bills.
Well, you already heard earlier in the show, there's a class action lawsuit already starting regarding these high bills.
Oh yeah. It's just beginning, and I expect that it's going to get bloody, really.
Okay. All right. Well,
Mike.
Thank you very much for the phone call. I'm going to switch over to Peter in Los Angeles. Hello, Peter. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind today?
Yeah, hi, Mike. I just wanted to talk about two quick topics, and one is the gender thing, the women's sports, and how in the world can you have these genetic males competing, with women, and how the Title IX laws, how do they allow that? By the way, it's going to cheat all these girls and women out of scholarships and so on and so forth. But what's really going to be? I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
No, I was agreeing with you.
Well, I watched an MMA fight the other day on TV with a couple women, and I'm waiting for the day when some genetic man who proclaims himself a woman beats to death a woman in the ring or severely injures her.
That's
and
already
how they're
happened.
going to react to that.
That's already happened. They had a transgender male fighting a real biological female, and he fractured her skull was the report I heard.
Oh my God! Well, it was inevitable.
Yep.
But I mean, where are the women's rights people? Where are the women's rights people? Where's Title IX? The other thing is the whole Obama now coming out about how he tried to get through reparations, but the white supremacists wouldn't allow him and all that kind of thing, and how he punched a guy out when he was in high school playing pickup basketball. A good friend of his. What crap! But at any rate, I'm from my family is mixed. My wife is black. My daughter is mixed, and I keep thinking, how in the world would they apportion that money, Mike? My daughter, my wife is an immigrant in the 80s from Jamaica, right?
Yes.
Never had any American slave background. My daughter is of course mixed, and my family's fought for the North. One of them died at Antietam. And I'm thinking, well, maybe I should charge the death of my great-great-grandfather. And so I get damages because he died freeing you guys. Apparently you weren't capable of doing it yourself. So at any rate, but you wonder how would you go about apportioning that kind of, those damages.
They're not even going to bother. They're not even going to bother. And it's like I said, my ancestors on my mother's side of the family ran a station on the Underground Railroad, and the house is still there. It's being restored right now by the new owner, and still has the hidden slave cellar in it. But if I went up to Canada and knocked on the doors of those descendants of the slaves my ancestors helped to escape, demanding reparations, they'd laugh me off the porch, and they'd be perfectly right to do so. And that's why this whole reparations things, this happened, 150 some odd years ago. And we ended slavery. We fought a civil war, at least partly over that issue. Let's be brutally honest, the Black population in this country have enjoyed a much better lifestyle than the Blacks who remained in Africa.
Mike, part of the COVID relief thing, by the way,
yes.
is a multi-billion-dollar thing for a gift to Black farmers. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw that.
They want to give part of Pelosi's bill. They want to shovel all this money at Black farmers.
Yes.
Why Black? I mean, it's bad enough for farmers, but to dole it out by race, it's nuts.
It's racism.
And it's racism. It's flat out racism. And at what point? And the fact that they're nullifying and marginalizing 60% of the population, it's really an amazing political event in the history of the world where this is happening to a solid majority, although waning, but still solid. And by the way, I wanted to bring up one more, but there is no, by the way, gay marriage in Israel. And yet, look at the people backing it over here. No gay marriage there. Just like, they have a wall and we don't, and all that other stuff. But look what they're pushing. No immigration there. All this immigration here. No gay marriage. What's good for you is not good for us.
Yes.
And it's an amazing thing.
With open
but anyway,
borders.
Mike, yeah, but they're behind it all. They're behind it all, including the Great Reset with the banks, right?
Yep.
Anyways, that's it for me, Mike. Have a great weekend. Thanks to everybody.
All right. Have a great weekend yourself here. We have phone lines open, area code 512-248-8252. And we're going to go to Sheldon in Washington State. Hello, Sheldon. I'm probably going to have to take you through the commercial break. What's on your mind?
That's okay. Well, for the first one, Al Gore is right. I tried to melt some snow a few years ago, and I went out and tried it again this season. It doesn't melt. It's not snow. Whoever I heard it on one of your channels there that said it's got polymers and plastic in it, I think they're correct because the black smoke that happens from those flames underneath the snow is just about identical to the black smoke you get when you used to light those extra parts on fire when you put your model cars together. You know what I mean?
Not sure I'm following you.
About the cars or about the snow?
About the snow.
Oh. When you get done today, go out and make yourself a snowball and put a match to it underneath it.
Okay.
It won't melt. And the other thing is, it won't. It really won't. It'll just turn black, and you'll turn it around, and it'll get warm, and you'll wonder what's happening. The other thing you said about steam, we use that at sea from commercial fishing to towboats. It's like when you and your wife go out for a drive. You're not driving, you're traveling. I don't know if you've got a chauffeur's license, but the lexicon has turned into this colloquialism that everybody's driving, and they're not. They're not for hire, they're for entertainment. So that happened at steam. Rather than actually using the legal terms, we're underway or we're making way, everybody says, oh, we're going to steam over here and pick up some more pots, or we're going to steam down to Hawaii and pick up this barge and bring it back. So that's
right.
just something that has caught.
All right,
Yep,
Sheldon.
there you go. Thank you for your
we're-
time.
Yeah, we're at a commercial break, and good luck back there in Fantasy Land, and we'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Hey there, are you going to wait till the cows come home to get your new ease-off drop-and lift?
What in the world is an ease-off drop-and lift?
Our ease-off is a new tool to increase production for your meat processing company that will get that whole hog or half a beef on or off your rail with our remote control.
That sounds great, but can I afford it?
Sure, and the ease-off installs fast. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue, speed up your line, and increase profits.
Okay, I'm convinced. Where can I get my ease-off?
Go to easeoff.com. That's EAZEOFF.com. And hurry because we're offering free shipping for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows, too.
Ease-off, LLC, 417-932-6419.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
Born in the city with a silver spoon, great-grandson of the oil tycoon, raised by wolves, thinks he owns the moon, socialist banker to the one world goons, Davy Rockefeller, chairman of the CFR.
Welcome back to our show here, and I know this is going to be disappointing to Daniel, but I did walk out back, and all of our snow has melted, so I could not create a snowball to conduct an experiment with. Maybe next week when we get more snow. We're going to go back to the phones now to Daniel in Virginia Beach. Hello, Daniel. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. What's on my mind is I'm just calling to say I've been a long-time listener and first-time caller. Like I told you, your call screen today, I just wanted to add a fresh voice to the chorus.
Yes, we appreciate that. We want more fresh callers.
Yeah, hey, no problem. Nothing's really other than what's listening here of late to all your callers. The only thing I can think of that's on my mind is unconscious bias. But I don't really want to go there. I just want to, keep it light.
Okay.
And talk about what you always mention about your house up there in New Hampshire, I believe you
Yes.
referred it to as.
Yes.
Yeah, me being the transplant from New England myself, I'm from Massachusetts. I grew up in a house that was built in 1660.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of history. Yep.
I was born in
There was
Boston.
a lot of history with that house. Yep. And I think that it has, matter of fact, crazy story what happened back when I was a child. Somebody crawled into one of those big old chimneys that those slant roof houses had.
Yes.
They were like the bread oven chimney style, and pulled out a Nazi flag.
Oh, really?
Crazy.
Okay, that is
Yeah,
crazy.
absolutely. Yeah, it was insane. But we had one of those really scary cellars that my sister had fallen through one time, and I had to try to go down there to save her, so to speak. And I ran out of there. That was insane. But yeah, like I said, Mike, I just wanted to call in and just add a fresh voice, like myself, break the ice. First time, long time listener, first time calling. That's all. And I enjoy your show.
Well, thank you very much for the call, and thank you very much for the brand new voice, and have yourself a good weekend.
Yes, sir, and you do the same. And I'll try to, now that I have a new phone, that's what I was waiting for, upgraded phone. I was in the Star Trek era with my flip phone. So I'll definitely make an attempt to call in more often.
No, when
you're
Motorola came out with those StarTAC phones, that was exactly the design thing. They wanted them to look like the Star Trek communicator. Anyway, thank you for the call, and we're going to switch over to Kathleen in Texas. Hello, Kathleen. Welcome to the show. What is on your mind?
Hey, Mike, and hi to Claire. I have a suggestion for RBN for a show.
Yes.
I would love to have Layla have her own show. I would definitely listen to that. She's always very informative, and I would not feel I was wasting my time. Another thing, I did actually speak to this host, the Trump phenomenon, that's Jamie Kelso. So some guy called into his show, whom I've heard before on other shows, and they kind of had a back and forth debate for quite a while, and then after it was over, Jamie said, "Boy, that was great. How do you?" And he said to the next guy, "What did you think about it?" He said, "Not good."
Well,
so he didn't like it. So the next caller, did not like that exchange. So I had to so I called and I said, I thought the exchange was great. The only thing missing was an egg timer. Because I do believe that, one person, there should be a referee.
I've ordered mine. It'll be here in another week. And we're going to have the little, along with our little, thou shalt not criticize the other caller.
I love that bell.
Yes.
Yes.
That was a gift from a listener.
Yeah, go ahead. So anyway, with an egg timer, then the host is not going to be a bully, or vice versa. And so I would love that kind of exchange when there are differences of opinion, but a lot about which we agree. And case in point, while I'm completely for Trump, I'm very much against fracking, and always have been. And I think there's plenty of evidence for its
I agree.
Damage, yes, damage to the earth, and then also subsidies for ethanol for the farmers that destroys the cars, car motors, and so things like that. And but I am very much for being very ecological. I don't believe in human-caused global warming. But I do believe that it is a beautiful prayer to take care of God's earth. And
I'm in agreement.
I just think that's a beautiful, pardon me?
I said I'm in agreement.
Yes. Okay. And so that's what I would like. Because the thing is, when you have
Okay,
other kind of
Kathleen,
callers like that.
Kathleen,
Yes.
I'm going to have to put you on hold. We got to take another break for commercials. Don't hang up. I'm going to
Okay.
come
Thank
back
you.
to you after these few words.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
February is Heart Month. Every year for the month of February, to show our appreciation to Extendivite's faithful customers, we have a sale. If you would like to try Extendivite, now is the time to get a few months ahead and really give Extendivite the time to show you how it works. Most of Extendivite's long-term customers wait for this sale to stock up. People and doctors tell us about the unbelievable improvements that they have experienced in their overall health, not just the heart. Extendivite wants you to experience the power of these herbs. Get a 4-month supply for only $115 for either the capsules or tincture. Please take advantage of this once per year sale and get healthy for life. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or find us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Hello, I'm Dr. Leonard Horowitz. I was right 30 years ago in warning the world about threatening lab virus outbreaks, AIDS, and Ebola. I was right 20 years ago when FBI Director Robert Mueller made me a suspect in the anthrax mailings because I warned the Bureau before the CIA's biocrime and Cipro sales psyops happened. I was right about COVID-19 being an AIDS-laced mutagen planned to resurge this fall to excuse officials' profitable depopulation globalization agendas. And I was right about the only safeguards being antioxidants and holy spiritual sustenance. Vitamin C, D, zinc, chlorophyll, oxygen, and oxysilver especially transmits the frequency resonance to neutralize the expanded function bioweapon. Oxysilver is a double superconductor of the healing power of love. It is the first nutraceutical invented to amplify prayer power and the faithful, loving intention of your heart. Buy, try, and stockpile Oxysilver through HealthyWorldStore.com.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
Some have maxed out all their credit cards. Some are working 2 jobs and living in cars. Minimum wage won't pay for a roof, won't pay for a drink. If you gotta have proof, just try it yourself, Mr. CEO. See how far $5.15 an hour will go. Take a part-time job at one of your stores. I bet you can't make it here anymore.
Welcome back to our show here. We're talking with Kathleen in Texas. And Kathleen, I fully agree with you. This human-caused global warming was all about politics and money. And it's rather amazing that these political environmentalists or these Green Squad members here have no comment at all about the very wasteful way that we manufacture products that don't last, just to throw them in a landfill, dig up more natural resources to make the next one, and keep that cycle going. It's certainly more profitable, but it is very destructive of the environment. And we're already starting to see shortages of things like rare earth minerals, The recycling has never really worked on out. And let's not forget about how bad for planet Earth war is. So, I believe in the wise use of resources. I believe in, a good management and of nature and such things. But too much of what passes for environmentalism is really just somebody's political or economic opportunity.
Just to finish, referring to that gentleman that called in, that I think that he represents more the listeners to RBN. People are not, one-note people. That they may be for Trump, but that doesn't mean that they're for all these other things. Also, that can be, to have an echo chamber can be so boring. And I think that that's probably one of the best strategies for trolls, is to be boring. And so I would like to see more of that, where if somebody is really hostile about a certain topic, say, a suggestion, maybe, let's do a 5-minute debate. 1 minute for you, 1 minute for me. But I also think
I ordered my little my little timers in several different sizes, and the good callers get the big one, and the not good callers get the little teensy one.
Well, I also think that the hosts should be able to turn off the sound of a caller that starts taking over. I do think that is reasonable. But anyway, thank you so much. I really appreciate, and you are never boring.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad to hear that, because being boring is something that I fear even more than death itself. As far as control of the callers, I can send a message through the little text window to our control room, but I don't actually have any physical control over the incoming phone line from out here in Indiana. Thank you for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Mark in North Carolina. Hello, Mark. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, how you doing there, Mike?
Doing good.
Mike, I was just thinking, when you look at all these things like the transvestites and all this concentration on, let's say, untraditional families.
Yes.
And then you look at something like Common Core, which is really, the mass they're talking about.
Yes.
Who's behind a lot of this stuff? The same globalists, eugenicists, such as Bill Gates, such as that German there, what's his name? Klaus Schwab there.
Klaus Schwab,
back in Europe. Okay? These people are all behind this stuff. Okay? There's a reason for it. One, they want as least population as possible. Obviously, transvestites don't produce children. The main reason for a marriage is, it's not always the case, but I mean, it's really the reason why marriages were looked upon through societies as, getting tax breaks and other breaks, is because they produce children. And children, push the society forward into the next generation. That's So, and Russia, by the way, see, Putin is not part of this globalist agenda. That's why I hate him so much. They pay kids, they pay families to have children. I was even surprised to find out that going back to Stalin, when it was actually a communist country, Stalin paid Russian families to have children.
A lot of countries have actually done that to build up their internal indigenous populations.
Yeah. And a lot, but here, all the abortions, and now I heard it's like some kind of a medical, some kind of a drug abortion. Alex Jones, I think Alex Jones talking about it earlier.
The morning after pill.
It's something else even than that. It's I don't even know. I'm not sure what it's called, but it sounds like it's a very bad thing, So they want nothing but to reduce and of course these vaccines, God knows what they're going to be doing to people,
Yes, I agree.
At the very least, you can expect there's going to be a lot of interference with birth, sterilizations. There's going to be a lot of sterilization.
There have already been concerns raised in Europe over the effect of these mRNA vaccines on pregnant women.
They should be concerned. So all of this, that's what they want to do. They want to reduce the population. They want to dumb down its population too, like with Common Core, which also Gates was behind.
Yes.
like that 2 and 2 equals 5. Okay,
Yeah.
so stuff like that in math. That's all. It has nothing to do with race. They just want to dumb down the entire population so they get better control of us. That's all. They don't want us thinking. They don't want us.
No, they don't. The New York Times came out the other day and said, don't think critically. You'll just fall in with those gosh darn conspiracy theories.
And by the way, folks, don't kid yourself about so-called conservatives, especially if they're mixed, if they have neocon wormed in. I remember a few years ago, Bill Bennett was praising Common Core. And that woman, a woman, Charlotte Eserby, I believe her name is. I believe she's a Maine former teacher. She came down on. She basically called him, not just for that, but for other things. Came down on Bennett, and Bennett was, by the way, part of PNC, Project for a New American Century.
Yes.
So there's a lot of people now that Biden is appointing, like Robert Kagan. Well, Kagan not himself, but his wife, Newland. These people are all connected with each other. They're globalists and they're elitists, and they're a ruling class place, or they want to be the ruling class. We got to be prepared to fight them, Mike. We got to be prepared to stand up to them and understand who these people are. They are eugenicists, they're elitists, and they're no good, period. And that's all I got to say for now, Mike. Thanks.
All right. Thanks an awful lot for the phone call. We're going to switch over to Brandon in Chile. Hello, Brandon. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind? Brandon in Chile, are you there? Okay, we lost him. Let's go to Terry in California. Hello, Terry. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike, do you think, reference to the last caller, do you think maybe the agenda might be to replace humans with artificial intelligence to run everything they need from a human?
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of people who think that would be really very, very nice, but then without a large human population whose labor creates the wealth, where does all their money come from? I mean, the elites could get rid of the majority of the human population and have a bunch of robots, but I don't think their lifestyles would stay where they are right now. And again, I think the idea of reducing population is they want to reduce the population in the other countries in order to give their own country a numerical superiority, either for industrial or military purposes.
Okay, I'll go along with that. The other thing, the reason I called was, do you agree that when we have conflicts between American blacks in this country and American whites or white supremacists, whatever, that we're playing right into the hands of the people that are instigating all this?
Oh, absolutely, no question about it. And, it's funny, I'm hearing and seeing white supremacists all over the place. I don't think there are really that many white supremacists, to be very, very honest. I mean, certainly when you see all the Black Lives Matter and Antifa flags out there, I really haven't seen anybody out there with a flag saying, whites rule or anything like that.
Well, we need to caution everybody on both sides that, when we get in these conflicts, we're playing right in their hands. That's what they want us to do, and we should avoid that.
Yeah,
American
don't get played.
Are American citizens.
Yes.
Yeah, they're American citizens. The only real group that wasn't asked to be bought here, they were bought here against their will, actually, and they're made citizens a long time before a good percentage of the population in the United States was even here. So they got to be accepted as citizens. I was raised in a segregated area where I'm from when I was growing up at that time, in that location. And, we're kind of past that now.
Yes.
So, I've heard some comments on some of your regular callers that are kind of skirting the line of, getting conflict going between the races. But I would say that, we got to be careful with that. And we need to expose what their agenda is, So, we need to just be careful. remember hearing Lenny's comments? I haven't heard him for a while.
Yeah.
There was another gentleman who identified himself as a Black American, and he had some good comments to make. And I would like to see more American Blacks tune into the program, and welcome their comments. But instead of I'm not sure what happened to those two, if they got scared off or not scared off, but decided maybe the forum wasn't for them, and they haven't called back.
Well, it can happen. We've had callers come and callers go, and some people just get on with their life, or something else comes into their life that takes over the time, and that's just the reality out there. But you're right. I miss Lenny. I wish he would call on in. But again, we had this article that we talked about earlier, that a lot of this interracial hostility is being manufactured to distract us all from the issue of wealth inequality in this country, by trying to make it look like all the white people are rich and all the Black people are poor, and sort of hide the fact that the vast majority of white people are just as poor as the Black people, and all the wealth is concentrated into the hands of these, few billionaires.
Yes, and it seems also that they're pushing the interracial mix, because when you see a commercial,
yes,
it seems like more often than not anymore, you're seeing a white and a Black couple together, and
Very
that seems
much so.
like. And I'm not against it if that's their choice, but I don't want to see things pushed on us like that, their own agenda.
Yes.
So, but anyway, that's my comment for today. I think I heard the bell, the egg timer go off in the background. So we'll get
Well,
to
you're
next time.
hallucinating. The egg timer isn't here yet, but it will be shortly. Thank you for the phone call. We're going to go to Robert in Kansas. Hello, Robert. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind? Okay, we lost Robert, so let's go to Kelly in Austin. And Kelly, welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, I called earlier, and this is the first time I've ever called back in a single program, and because I want to address this issue about fracking. Again, I'm a geologist. I've dealt with fracking for a long, long, long time, and I have to be honest with you that about in the many years I've dealt with this, I've run about 2 or 3 cases that can be traced back to any kind of contamination related to fracking.
Yes.
Most cases, in fact, are not related to fracking. They're related to, and most claims are you had gas showing up in shallow groundwater.
Yes.
And it is always related to the discharge of biogenic gas, that is gas from coal seams, shallow coal seams that are degassing into the shallow formations that are being degassed because people are casing their wells, their water wells across the coal seams, and they're depressurizing those coal seams and allowing the gas then to flow from the coal seams into the aquifers. And as a result, and you can do that with basic gas composition analysis, looking at the C1 through the C6 composition or the isotopic composition. Very clear distinction between the two. And in the cases in which I have found thermogenic gas, that is gas from oil and gas reservoirs from deeper formations showing up in shallow formations, it is related to the movement of gas along faults and fractures that allow gas to migrate upward into shallower formations, into those shallower zones, and they mix, and you cannot really distinguish one formation from the other on the basis of their other gas composition or isotopic analysis. And so what I hear is there's a lot of there's just a lot of fear about fracturing. The fact is, oil and gas companies have been fracturing formations since 1947, 1948.
Okay.
Those fracturing formations were based upon vertical formations. So now you got much deeper horizontal wells, and trying to establish a connection between these very deep formations, 11,000, 12,000, 15,000 feet, and then gas showing up in shallow zones in the hundreds of foot, let's say a couple hundred, 300 feet or 4 feet below the surface, is very, very, very difficult to establish. And so, looking at this as somebody who has tackled this, on the basis of just pure geochemical analysis, I'm going to have to tell you that the concerns about fracking being a real threat to groundwater resources are just not well placed. So I'll be glad to talk with you more about that sometime in the future when you have more time. But look, Mike, I've dealt with this for a long time, and I've testified time and time again. I've written many reports on this, and I think that people who are obsessed about this really need to back off and look at the science behind it. So that's all I got to say.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the update. And, my concern with fracking is that it has not penciled out the way it was predicted, that the fracking formations have turned out to be much less productive than estimated. And I know there was
that's
big
true.
Yeah,
that's true, Mike. That's true, Mike. Because what happens is that you get a lot of production over a short period of time, and then they die out.
Yeah.
So there's a steep decline curve in these.
All right, Kelly, I got to let you go. We got to take for commercials, and we'll be back with the last segment of our program after these few words.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We have a special promotion going on at Republic Broadcasting. This is a fundraiser for Republic Broadcasting involving the Energy Cleaner. Mail me a postcard. My address is at my website at thelibertyman.com. We pick a postcard every other Thursday. When your postcard is drawn out, you get to buy an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285, $70 discount. $200 goes to Republic Broadcasting. You also get a 10% discount on my mattress pads. So get those postcards in, put your name, your telephone number, your email address on there, and when your postcard is drawn, you get to get an Energy Cleaner for $215 instead of $285. Mattress pads, 10% off. Help us out at Republic Broadcasting and help yourself to get an Energy Cleaner at a deep discount. It's a win-win situation for everybody. We hope you can get these postcards in soon. Thank you very much.
February is Heart Month. Every year for the month of February, to show our appreciation to Extendivite's faithful customers, we have a sale. If you would like to try Extendivite, now is the time to get a few months ahead and really give Extendivite the time to show you how it works. Most of Extendivite's long-term customers wait for this sale to stock up. People and doctors tell us about the unbelievable improvements that they have experienced in their overall health, not just the heart. Extendivite wants you to experience the power of these herbs. Get a 4-month supply for only $115 for either the capsules or tincture. Please take advantage of this once per year sale and get healthy for life. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or find us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Hey, honey, I'm home. I grabbed the newspaper on the way home. Look at all the news today.
The newspaper? Don't you know that all you're going to get in the newspaper is propaganda, twisted news, and false information?
Honey, this is a national newspaper. It has to be true.
Ha! For some reason, a majority of the population believe anything the mainstream media tells them. The newspaper does not give out the important attention on what's happening to this country and news that affects our daily lives. Say, does that newspaper mention anything about the North American Union?
No, not that I can see.
I didn't think so. You need to go to www.newswithviews.com, where truth is more important than political correctness. That's www.newswithviews.com. Hey, don't throw that away. We can use that in the birdcage.
Okay, move over. Let me start reading newswithviews.com.
The truth? Read all about it at newswithviews.com. Newswithviews.com, where reality shatters illusion.
We are living stays, and I am frightened by what you say. It chills right to the core. This talk of holy war.
Welcome back to our show here. Last segment on this Powhana Friday, and we're going to go to Miles in Maine. Hello, Miles. Thank you for waiting. What's on your mind today?
Aloha, Michael.
Hi.
Yeah, I just want to agree with that one caller. Lenny, W, Lauren, they're all great callers. Richard, all of them excellent callers on this show. So I hope to hear more of those guys too. Look, I gotta know right now, Michael, and you tell me the story on this. What's up with all this Tom loving today? I mean, the guy is boring. He only talks about immigration. He calls you up and drinks 4 cups of organic wheatgrass. You know.
Okay, Miles. We have a new rule that we do not criticize the other callers, and that's what the bell signifies there.
It was a joke, Michael.
Okay.
It was a joke. It's
all
a
right.
joke.
Oh, was it? Okay. All right. Fine.
It was actually It's actually a compliment to Tom, but I'm surprised you didn't grasp that.
No, I didn't grasp it.
Anyway,
I was here trying to dig the bell out.
Yeah. So, well, you should have when Kelly called back, but that was a great point he made, and he was exactly right.
Okay.
But, a lot of these groups, these green groups, you got to remember, in a lot of instances, they're backed and funded by these energy groups to oppose these projects to keep the prices on energy high. And that's what I'm concerned about, Michael. What are we going to do when we keep all this energy high, all these prices high across the board? Because we're seeing it with the petroleum, we're seeing it with the electric. But here's the thing. Why isn't anybody doing anything about this? I mean, Biden shut down the white sand, or whatever the sands deal is and all that.
And he shut down the Keystone XL pipeline. Yeah.
But how can one man just do that? How can one man just arbitrarily do that? And there's no opposition from these Republicans who probably get many of their contributions, just as the Democrats probably do too.
They probably do here. Now, technically, when the president issues an executive order, Congress has 30 days to review it and rescind it. And after 30 days, it goes into the Federal Registry and becomes the law of the land. But you're absolutely right. These politicians all went along with having the oil shipped by rail, which is going to raise the price of oil and gasoline to us consumers and enrich the owners of those railroads who happen to be very generous political donors.
Well, there is, to Governor Abbott's credit, he is suing about that, I believe.
Yes, he is.
His attorney general. Yeah, and I wish every state in the union would join on to that lawsuit, and I wish we could get the Supreme Court to do something other than,
the Supreme Court is worthless right now. The Supreme Court is utterly worthless. They just proved that when they just dismissed all the election fraud lawsuits without even looking at the evidence.
Right. By the way, what does that tell you about Merrick Garland when he, now he's going to be appointed by the Democratic administration after he was just, appointed or for the Supreme Court, he was just put up for nomination, and now he's going to be. Yeah, I mean, what does this tell you about? And what does it tell you about
Miles?
The information Trump was getting.
I gotta cut you off. Yeah. We're at the end of the show. The music is playing.
We'll see you guys. Have a great weekend.
Same to you, and my apology to the callers waiting on hold who did not get on the air. Try and call in again on Monday. Spread the word of Republic Broadcasting. Spread the word of whatreallyhappened.com. Please donate. We still don't know what the RBN electric bill is going to be this month. Have a really good, safe weekend, and we'll see you Monday. Aloha, America.